So basically, this is a study that has been sponsored by the government of the Principality of Monaco, which I direct this program. And you will see lots of interesting graphs and maps and figures about how PropTech is evolving in the last years. So hopefully this is gonna put things in perspective. Let me first explain a little bit, although all of you are experts in this field, but just to define what we understand by PropTech and what type of classifications we are doing for this barometer. So first, PropTech refers to everything that has to do with the digital economy for the real estate tech sector. Definitions are very broad, and the main question could be why PropTech didn't disrupt as FinTech did in the 80s and 90s. And lots of opinions here, but the main ones probably are that it's hyper-local, so it depends very much on the city and the country. It's a highly illiquid market. It's not like a stock market. It's lots of illiquidity and information problems, adverse selection, and it's based on most of commission sales until PropTech disrupted. People were doing really well, so they were hesitant to change. And in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have a generation that has been educated in the digital transformation of the economy. So all the change, and we have now lots of companies that now you recognize. I'm just gonna switch over the next 2-3 slides to show you like different categories that we are considering, but you may recognize some companies here in the short-term rental search sector, same for the long-term search, commercial real estate agent tools, portfolio management, property management, facility management, construction management, insurance, home services, and Internet of Things. So broadly, this covers the whole universe of prop companies. What you are seeing here are the top companies for each of these categories. These are 12 categories, and it's kind of difficult to present a comprehensive analysis of 12 categories. So basically, as you will see, we are reducing this into 4. That makes lots of sense. So basically, what I was introducing before, you will see lots of graphs, analysis of the evolution over time, across markets, across countries, and companies. So this is basically what you will see today. The 4 categories that we decided to work on are these 4: investing, building, managing, and living. You can see, for instance, the top companies in our barometer for each of these categories. Probably you recognize many of them. Now, the barometer also includes comprehensive analysis of mergers and acquisitions. So it's been said that the PropTech sector is going through a consolidation phase. Actually, you can see that among these 4 categories, most of the mergers and acquisitions are happening in the living sector, which is by far the largest asset class within real estate, which is residential. So almost 50% of mergers and acquisitions are happening there in the last year. Then it's followed by managing with 30% of M&A, then building, and then investing. If we look at the concentration of market power, which is something that is really interesting if you want to basically enter in a market, you want to see that, for instance, managing, which is the pink color, has a lot of market concentration. So 50% of the managing sector is run by just 5 companies. They are huge companies that own 50% of this sector, which is huge concentration of market power. On the other side of the spectrum, you can see the green category, which is the living. So living, it's very competitive. You can see it's very negligible, each of these boxes. They don't have such a big market power. So lots of competition in living. And then investing and building, the blue and yellow, you can see 3 or 4 big market players followed by very small ones. So this can give you an idea of where you want to enter, which market, and the degree of competition you will see there. In our analysis, we have considered very good representation of the universe of PropTech companies in the world. There are more than 2,000 PropTech companies, We have in our database more than 1,800 investors all over the world, and we estimate that they have raised more than $12 billion in the last year, which is a huge number. And these investments have been made over across 66 countries. Here you have the winners. Of course, it's not surprising that the United States is number one. They originated $6.4 billion in the last year, and it has been followed by Japan and the United Kingdom. And you can see the other countries below, like Switzerland, China, Hong Kong, and others. Now, this is where the money it's originated, where the money comes from. If you want to look at where the money goes to, which probably is even more interesting, you can see again the United States being number one by far with almost $7 billion the last year. It has been followed by number two, Spain, with almost $1 billion, and then UK, India, Brazil, China, Germany, Canada, and Singapore. So this is where we are attracting investments in terms of prop tech. Now, if we put things on the map, you can see that the United States is by far the most important country. But if we remove United States from the map, so we can see things in a relative terms, you can see that there are other big players that are very strong right now, which are, for instance, India, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Germany. These are big magnets for real estate technology. This is a barometer, so we want to put also things in perspective. So this is the top 10 companies in the world, and 6 of them are from the United States. The top 3 raised more than $3 billion each in the last year. And there are 2 Chinese prop tech companies and another British prop tech and an Indian prop tech. So probably these are the ones that everybody knows. Now, I have been also asked to present some analysis on the Emirates market, and here just a couple of figures as more representation of companies in our database. Basically, it shows that the Emirates are doing best in Internet of Things, home services, short-term rentals, and real estate search. In terms of destination, you have United States, number one, with more than $300 million. Going from here, followed by India, United Kingdom, the Emirates, and then China. We have done future projections as well, so we have lots of data since 1999. So basically, we have been doing these projections, and just comparing one year versus the other, we expect that managing and living categories are going to grow significantly more than the previous year, as compared to investing and building, which we are going to see them shrinking a little bit. Also, in terms of investments, you can see that might not be easy to see, but it's disentangled by a different funding type. But probably what is more important is that after the pandemic, we had a very strong recovery, but we are not there yet. So we are at the levels of 2020, and we didn't reach out the peak yet. But the recovery is significant. In terms of future projections for which countries will originate and receive the biggest amount of money. So in terms of origin countries, so where the money comes from, again, we expect the United States with more than $8.7 billion. Remember that when I was introducing this barometer, the US last year was with $6.9 billion. Now it increased to $8.7 billion. Then it followed by China, UK, Japan, the Netherlands, Hong Kong, Switzerland, Canada, and Germany. If we look at where the money goes to, again, this is future projections, but we expect that United States is going to be, again, number one, with slightly less money that they originate. And then it has been followed by China and India, and then other countries such as Germany, and Brazil, and Singapore. What is really striking here, and for those of you who are from India, is that India receives 10 more times than the money that they originate. So India is supposed to be the biggest magnet in terms of real estate in relative terms, according to the predictions. I invite all of you to read the barometer. There are lots of things, much more than what I presented today here. I wanted to give you a glimpse of the main facts, just to introduce this great conference and speakers so that you put things in context. The barometer also has lots of case studies and research that we do with different technologies such as artificial intelligence.
Your report on China, relatively low in the past year, yet significant increase expectations for investment in the future. What's driving this?
Well, so probably it's one of the emerging markets that we are seeing the same as we are seeing with India. The thing we believe is that they are big open markets. They are very open compared as before, and technology is disrupting there. We have just the big amount in relative terms, so we cannot analyze exactly what is driving the Chinese success. But what I would stress even more in the case of India, as I said, it's attracting 10 times more money than they are originating in India. So two big players to look at in the next couple of years.
But your report also identified that the source of the income was the country that was noted, and yet relatively low amount of investment coming from China. Is that correct, or is just that there no interest in this prop tech for China at this point in time?
Well, probably the money is seeking a big market such as China and India, so basically there are like those big investment funds and prop companies that want to enter in a market. The same is happening with the case of Spain, that was the number 2, also a very open country, and basically I think some momentum at this point.